Welcome back everyone to Mona's Take. I am your host monadrose and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. This video we're going to cover, I would say, the last 24 hours of Big Brother. However, it's been since I got out of bed at 10 o'clock this morning. They already had 5 hours on me. They had already played a veto competition and we already had a veto winner. So it has been a jam-packed day. This is probably going to be one of the longest videos that I've done. So stay with me till the end because it stays spicy the whole time. Be right back. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. So I can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay. The first time since I've been doing Big Brother, and I slept in this morning. I went to bed at 3 o'clock this morning. You guys were up to date with everything. Went to bed, got up at 10. I'm waking up, going through my comments, and someone tells me that we already have a POV winner. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's literally 8 o'clock in the morning their time, and they're never up before 10, hardly. So, it has been a jam-packed day, and I will start from the beginning at 5 o'clock in the morning when the feeds went off. The feeds cut at 5 a.m. They came back on at 6 a.m. So it wasn't a very long competition. All right. The power of veto winner is Brittany. She has pulled one out. This means Monty has to make a choice between Taylor and Turner. He has to show his cards. Will Taylor realize that he's showing his cards, or will she continue to protect him? Stick around because there's been many conversations today. Brittany was the only one to go to bed early last night. She went to bed at 9 o'clock. So she was the only one that actually got 8 hours sleep before this competition. Everybody else stayed up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and they were woke up at 5. And what's funny is people can't say anybody gave her this competition. No, they can't. She won it fair and square on her own. The first conversation that we see is between Taylor and Brittany in the storage room. Taylor said, "You've had me scared all week and you know why." And Brittany's attitude immediately changed. She stepped back. She's standoffish. She steps back. And she says, "It's hard. It feels like when he left, everyone just distanced themselves from me. So I don't know what to think. I feel like I need to talk to everyone." Brittany said, "That's the toughest part." Taylor said, "I feel like I needed to talk to you because everyone was telling me that you were throwing me under the bus." And Brittany said, "Why didn't you bring this to me?" Taylor said, "The thing is that they were saying things that I told you." And Brittany said, "Like what?" And Taylor said, "Like when we were in the HOH room, that you said that I was the one that was forming the all-girls alliance." And Brittany said, "But you weren't." She's like, "Why would I say that if it's not factual? Why didn't you come to me and ask me about that? Because that's not something you told me. So if it doesn't make sense, why wouldn't you have brought that back to me?" And actually, just to be clear, she never told Turner that there was an all-girls alliance. Turner figured that out because Brittany told him that Alyssa was making deals that didn't include him. She was trying to throw Alyssa under the bus, and by her saying that, and then I think she said that Alyssa came to her and Taylor. So he concluded that there was a girls' alliance. Brittany never told him that. Just like when he came back in, he assumed that Monty, Michael, Brittany, and Taylor were together, which they were, but nobody told him that. He just guessed it from them being in the house all week. So anyway, Taylor said, we can talk about it later because I don't want to just throw word vomit at you. Now remember, Taylor's only had 2 hours sleep. So she's not able to formulate a good argument as to why she didn't go to Brittany. She said, but when I do tell you everything, you'll understand why I needed space. And Brittany said, I get that too, but I hope you understand by not bringing it to me, I felt you distancing from me, but now it feels like it's convenient. That's unfortunate. And it feels like it's just because I won. Like, you wouldn't tell me this stuff if I didn't win. She's like, how convenient is it you came to me now when you haven't talked to me since Michael left? She said, you're believing what other people are saying when you know that's not facts. It was Alyssa that tried to start the All Girls Alliance. So why would you even believe that? She said, I've been working with you from the beginning. Why in the world? That's obvious lies. She said, you chose to believe whoever told you over me. And I've been working with you since the beginning. 65 days they've been working together. And now that I won, it's just like, now you want to talk? Brittany says, please don't think I'm mad, because I'm not. She said, I'm hurt. She said, when Michael left, all of a sudden, everyone is best friends with Alyssa. Taylor said, do you think I'm best friends with Alyssa? And she said, no, I'm just saying everyone. And I felt like I was the odd person out, which she was. So she had a right to feel that way because that's exactly how they were all acting. She said, I knew I had to win today, and that sucked. When I was working with you and I was working with Monty and I'm on the block, why do I feel like I had to win? She said, I thought we were the final three. She said, why are people believing what other people are telling them and not bringing it to me? Taylor says, I'm going to start when Monty and I started getting closer. She said, I did everything to make sure it was us at the end. She said, I didn't want you to think I was abandoning you. Taylor said, Turner came to me and said the only reason I would take you to the, that you said that the only reason that I would take you to the end is because I could beat you. And that you tried to make a final two with him. Brittany said, Turner is someone who's won three HOHs and has put me on the block every single time. And you think that I'm working with him? Brittany said, I'm not even mad at Michael anymore. I feel like he was the only one trying to warn me since no one else was telling me what was going on. So now she thinks that Michael's whole speech was an attempt to warn her to pay attention to what was going on because she wasn't as trusted as she was before. I don't buy that. Michael was trying to do everything he could to stay in the game. Like I said, he was throwing whatever he could up against the wall to see what sticks. And he also told Alyssa a bunch of stuff about Brittany not being who she says she is and lying about her job and whatever else he told her in their little quick one-on-one. Taylor said she's sorry she didn't trust her and she'd listen to others. Taylor said, I will tell you everything, but before I get into everything, there were two people I talked to, and that was Michael and Monty. Brittany said, everyone wants to spew lies and bullshit to put a target on my back. They got Michael out, so now they're trying to put a target on my back, so I'm the next to go. Brittany says, it's Turner. He is targeting you, Taylor. How does something he says hold more weight than something I say to you? Well, Brittany has denied. Because she did say some stuff to Turner that night. She did not say everything that Turner said she said. But she did say enough stuff to him to get her in trouble. Brittany said, if I hadn't won, I would be out the door this week and I would never know any of this. And Taylor said, no, I wouldn't have let that happen. And Brittany said, how can I believe you? How can I trust you? You didn't trust me enough to bring me all of this stuff. How can I trust that you would have kept me safe? And Brittany said, it would have been nice if you wanted to check in before I won the veto. Taylor said, you have to have felt the distance. She said, I did check in on you as soon as Michael left, but I wanted to give you some space. So Taylor says that she's the kind of friend that just gives people space and checks in every once in a while. Taylor said, do you really think I would have voted you out? And Brittany said, I don't know. I don't know who to trust at this point. Nobody trusted me enough to come talk to me. She said, so I don't know who to trust. Brittany said that everybody is believing Turner, so they must trust him more than they trust her. And Taylor said, please tell me the truth. Are you working with Turner? And the way she did it, it was like, okay, Brittany, please tell me the truth. Are you working with Turner? And it's like, what? They just had this whole friggin' conversation to where Brittany's thrown Turner under the bus every chance she's gotten. And she said, are you working with Turner? And Brittany said, oh my God. She's like, how am I working with someone who's put me on the block every time they've had power? And Brittany said, do you understand how hard it is that you would believe Turner over me? And Taylor said, you can talk to Monty and ask him who I would have protected, who I would have taken down. And Brittany said, I believe you because I believe in you. See, that's the difference. I believe what you're telling me. And Taylor said, you've been warning me about Monty and Turner's relationship, and I haven't listened. Taylor said, Turner keeps talking about how Xavier should have taken Kylan to the end last year instead of Big D. He keeps talking about how he would respect the game more if it was two players who were evenly matched at the end to go head-to-head. And Brittany said, I wonder why he's been thinking about that. Let's see. So he wants Monty to take him to the end? Brittany gets it. Brittany is seeing everything that's going on, and she's been trying to tell Taylor for weeks that Monty and Turner were closer than what they were thinking. Brittany said, if he puts you up, he's showing his cards. But if he puts you up, I can't save you. Because it will be a split vote, and Monty will have the final vote to vote whoever out. Brittany said, okay, what do we do to get Monty to put up Turner? She said, if you go home, I'm next, because I have no one at that point. She said he would have Michael's vote. He'd gain Michael's vote back in jury if he took out Turner, because Michael would respect that more. That they could lock in the final three and agree to get Alyssa out next week. Now, while they're talking, Turner goes up to talk to Monty. Turner said, I was so effing close. I had it in my hand, and where does it go? There was only one effing place it could go, and I held it in my hand for like 20 seconds. I choked so bad. So him and Monty are talking, and Monty didn't play in the veto. And the reason Monty didn't play in the veto is because they woke them up at 5 a.m. and they gave them a 2-minute warning to be in the backyard. Evidently, he thought he had time to go to the bathroom and put his contacts in, and the next thing he knew, he goes downstairs to play the comp, and they tell him that he can't play in the comp because he didn't make it in time. So he had to go sit and watch everybody else play the veto. So he's upset about that and saying if I'd have just got down there in time, I could have won the veto. I could have saved us all this headache. Brittany would be gone. I just didn't make it down there in time. And I didn't know that they did that. I figured that when they woke them up, that they would wait until they all got down there and play the veto. So I guess there are rules that when they wake them up in the middle of the night like that they have a certain time. Okay, you've got 5 minutes or you've got 6 minutes or whatever the time may be to be in the backyard. And if you're not in the backyard by that time, you don't play. So that was interesting. And then the feeds cut when they start talking about that. But I was able to put all that together through different conversations all day. Turner said they went in the bubble room talking about Taylor and Brittany. He said, Alyssa tries going in and it's complete silence. So we were like, okay, they're in there plotting something. And the only thing they can be plotting is to get me to go on the block. And Monty said, that's not happening. You're not going up. You don't worry about that. He said, I'm telling you this as a person, as a human. You are not going up. 1,000% not. Monty said, I thought about it all this morning. I didn't even sleep. First of all, I don't trust those two would make the decision to keep you over Alyssa. Especially now since Michael's on your resume. Secondly, I've also been pondering this whole girls thing. They're all putting it on each other. And if it's a real thing, I'm done next week. Now, I told y'all that if it came down to Taylor or Turner, Monty is going to choose Turner. He is using Taylor to get there. Monty said, so now I want to get your perspective on this, on who should go between Taylor and Alyssa. Of course, Turner already has his argument ready and has the pros and cons for Brittany. For Alyssa and Turner. Already has his pros and cons ready for Alyssa versus Taylor. And of course it's aimed straight at getting Taylor out. He says, number one, Alyssa's going to target Brittany next week. She wants Brittany out of this house, so she's going to go after Brittany. And he said, number two, that I would hope Taylor would, but I can't be for sure that she would actually go after Brittany. And then he said, Turner said that there is a world where if given the option, Taylor will take Brittany to the end. We know Alyssa will go after Brittany, and that's a pro for Alyssa. And I'm not showing any bias here, he says. He says, next week, I feel like I can wipe the floor in a physical comp with Alyssa and Brittany. He didn't wipe the floor with Brittany today. Just saying. And the comp that they just played sounded like it was both physical and mental. From the description, just hearing little bits and pieces, everybody talking. He said, if it's a spinning competition, I can still hang in there until they're out. And I was like, didn't you just say yesterday that if it was a spinning competition today, that there is no way that you could win it? Because you don't do roller coasters, you don't do anything that spins, you'd be throwing up. Y'all talked about how Alyssa would be really good at that comp. So he's sitting there telling Monty, if you keep Alyssa, then I can win this competition. No, he's not going to win it. If it's a spinning competition, Alyssa's going to win over him. He's just spewing out the crap, and Monty's licking it up. Turner said, so that's where I'm at. Where's your head at? And Monty said, so here's where my head's at. First of all, I watched, and this is just my commentary on what I saw. He said, if I were in that comp, I would have done the same thing you and Brittany were doing. From the start. Start at the bottom, work your way up. He said, Taylor and Alyssa did not do that. He said, like, I was just looking at it and there was no strategy. And Alyssa didn't even have a shot at winning. He said Taylor started getting it towards the end, but she was so far behind at that point that she couldn't do it. He said, when I'm looking at Alyssa, there's not a lot I can bank on for her winning a comp. So next week, that leaves it between you and Brittany if Taylor goes home. We already know Brittany competing. So if it's you that wins next week and you put up Alyssa and Brittany wins another veto, then I go on the block and Brittany's the one that's making the decision on who goes home. He says Alyssa's not a factor in comps, so what's the point in keeping her? He said if she goes on his HOH, he wouldn't care because he wouldn't have her vote anyway. He said, let's be real. If you and I are sitting at the end, which is what they're planning, he said, there's no way she votes for me. She's going to vote for you 100% of the time. He said, so I'm not really worried about jury management with her. Turner said, if you think you can work Taylor to go after Brittany, I'm down. Notice how he said that? If you can work Taylor into going after Brittany. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. And I've been literally going from the time I got up this morning. Monty says, I don't think she will go after Brittany because we are closer. So Monty is making it clear that he doesn't want Taylor to go on his HOH. And evidently, whenever Brittany won the veto this morning, she hollered out, Michael, this is for you, or this is for you, Michael, something to that effect. And it really pissed off Turner and Alyssa. And they're like, you know, they're making fun of her. Oh, it wasn't like this is for you, Stephen. It was like, this is for you, Michael. Shouldn't she be dedicating it to her husband instead of the one that just drug her through the mud the night before or whatever? So Turner and Monty are having a good laugh about that and making fun of Brittany. So I guess he didn't have to throw the competition because remember he told Taylor yesterday that it wouldn't be in his best interest to win the veto. That he was hoping somebody else won the veto. So I thought he was going to throw the competition. Well, he didn't have to because he didn't play. Turner said, I'm in, whatever you want me to do. I'm just glad that I'm 1,000% safe. So whatever you want, I'm in. So right now, Brittany has as many comp wins as Monty and Turner. Because this makes her... Does this make her third or her fourth veto? I know she got one with Michael. She got one on her own in this one. Did her and Michael win 2 vetoes together? I don't remember. I have to go back and look. But she's either got 3 or 4 wins under her belt now. So she has the same number of comp wins as Turner and Monty has. So now they're starting to get a little worried. Alyssa is crying, talking to Taylor, saying it's going to suck regardless of who he puts up. Alyssa asked her how her conversation with Brittany went this morning. And Taylor said, my friend is still there. Well, that sent Alyssa spiraling again in another crying tantrum. Today, Alyssa has either been crying or asleep. Like, all day. There's no in between. She's either asleep or she's crying. And she's crying because Brittany won the veto and not Turner. Like, it's just really chapping her ass that Turner was only 1 piece away from winning this and that Brittany won it and screwed up everything. So Monty and Brittany talk. And Brittany says, obviously, I'm going to use the veto. I just want to touch base with you and see where you're at. She said, it's not lost on me that I'm getting the full picture the moment after I won the veto. She said, I had a really good talk with Turner and with Taylor, sorry. She said, I had a really good talk with Taylor and I know the full story now. She says, she tells him that basically the same stuff that she told Taylor in their 2-hour conversation. It was a very long conversation. Which I left a lot of it out because it just repeated itself over and over. So she basically tells Monty the same thing that she told Taylor downstairs. You know, that Turner's won HOH 3 times. He's put her on the block all 3 times. She gives him the same speech. Monty says he just wants to move forward. He says he's happy for her winning the veto, but now he has a decision to make that puts him between a rock and a hard place. She asked him if he was working with Turner. And where does that leave their final 3? Of course, he denies that he's working with Turner. But yet he's mad at Brittany because she was making final 2s with somebody that wasn't him. She pitches putting Turner up and getting him out this week, and Alyssa next week, and that gets them to the final 3. Monty says that if Taylor is on the block, it would be a split vote, and he would keep Taylor safe. He said if Turner goes home on his HOH, that it's not good jury management for him. She says that Turner's also the strongest player in the house. She says if you're considering jury votes, would his vote be worth mine and Taylor's? So you have 2 votes here, and you're going to take the 1 vote over here. She said if you keep Turner, it would show that you have more faith in Turner than you do our final 3. She still says to him that she still has a twinge that him and Turner are working together. And Monty says, why do you say that? I don't know what I can do to prove to you that I don't. And they do. Brittany leaves and Monty talks to the cameras and is still, everything that he just heard was lies. Every bit of it was lies. She was just lying over and over and over. He says that he can't believe anything that she says. He's talking to the cameras. And now Monty's saying to the camera that they don't have a final 3, that they've never been in a room, that they've never sat down, they've never discussed this. Remember that in a few minutes. But they did have that, and they also had a final 4 that they made while they were in Brochella. Monty said that he feels like Brittany needs to go home as soon as possible. Monty said he will put Taylor up, and he feels like Turner will vote to keep Taylor. So Monty says he doesn't have to tell them that he's in a final 2 with Turner. Because, you know, Taylor and Brittany have both come right out and asked him several times. And he's told them each time no. He's like, I don't have to tell them that. So don't get mad when they don't tell you stuff. That's how it works. He says again that he doesn't trust her. And about that time, Alyssa comes up. She's crying, of course. She wasn't crying walking up there. She wasn't crying in the hallway. But as soon as she entered the room and Monty spoke to her, she broke down crying. And cried the whole time she was in there. Until she went back and got in bed. Monty tells her that he hates when people continue to lie to him. And he said, I'm talking about Brittany. I'm not talking about you. He said, I just had a long meeting. It was horrendous and tested my patience, to be honest. Now, he said the same thing to Monty he said to Taylor. The only difference is Taylor received it differently than Monty did. Because Monty's got this wall up. He's not going to believe anything except for Turner, his guy. That's who he's going to believe. Alyssa said the best thing would be for Taylor to go up and go home. She says that they know that she knows that they have a final two, Brittany and Taylor, and that her final three would be Monty, Turner, and her. And she says she would hope that the final two would be Monty and her, and that she would vote Turner out at that point and take Monty to the end, because that's who she truly wants to go to the end with. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, she told him. This is actually how I feel. He's got all these comp wins. He's got this. He's got that. He's got the same number of comp wins that Monty has, I believe. I believe that Monty's had one veto when they were Festy Besties, or when they had the Festy Bestie twist. So, whatever. Then he tells her that he's going to gut check Taylor this week and gauge what is going on with her, and if she's actually going to protect Brittany, then he will consider sending her home. That he has to have trust in her, and that if she protects Brittany, he has no trust. She tells him that Brittany threatened him and said, if you don't do this, you're not going to get jury votes. The decision you make this week will be based on what I base my decision on next week. Should I get HOH or should I get the veto? Because next week, the veto holder is the sole voter. So whoever wins that veto next week, if it's the two on the block or the one that isn't on the block, anybody but the HOH, I guess, then they make the sole deciding vote. Alyssa said that Brittany is the queen of lies and everything she does is calculated. This is the right time to say this, and that's definitely Brittany, and I'm definitely disappointed that Turner was one move away. And Monty said, yeah, if she hadn't won, she would have been out this week. Alyssa's bawling by this point, can't hardly talk. Monty says, I trust Taylor, but I have to judge things off of how she protects Brittany. Then Monty and Taylor talk. Monty says, Brittany is going to take herself down, and now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. He tells her that he didn't believe anything that Brittany said, that Brittany was still lying to him, telling him all these lies. Taylor asked him where his head was at. He said all likelihood of Alyssa winning a comp next week is not good. He said, I feel like it's way better for my game for Alyssa to go home. Monty says he doesn't trust Brittany anymore and wants her out. And Taylor says, it doesn't sound like you had the same conversation with Brittany that I had. Because I think if you had, you would feel differently. Oh, he did have the same conversation. He just received it differently than Taylor did. The reality is, she did have the same conversation. He just didn't receive it the same way Taylor did. Monty just said, our final three, I was down until last week. Didn't he just say to the cameras that he didn't have a final three with them? Yeah, I believe he did. But he's telling Taylor I was all down with it until last week. Monty says he can't vote out Turner because he will not put his fate in Brittany's hands. Taylor said that that's going to be a rough three, going to the final three with you and Turner. Monty says if you get a shot to take him out next week, I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying I can't have him go home on my watch. Taylor said if you don't take Turner out, he's going to win this game. If he gets to the finals, he's going to win this game. And Monty's lying to her face again, saying, I would choose you over Turner. I would never choose Turner over you. So at this point, Monty wants his final three to be him, Taylor, and Turner. But he doesn't, because he doesn't trust Brittany. And Taylor doesn't trust Turner. Taylor's final three would be her, Brittany, and Monty, but Monty doesn't trust Brittany. So they're at a standstill. And like I said, Monty's pissed because Brittany has final twos with other people and not him. That doesn't include him. And he's got a final two with Turner that he hasn't told anybody about. Taylor, which is the closest person to him in this game, he hasn't told her that. So the righteous, indignation is showing through. Taylor said, okay, you said you would pick Turner over me. He said, yeah, that's what I said. If it got down to the final three, I would pick you over Turner. She said, okay. Then why wouldn't you trust me enough to not put me in this position this week and to not vote out Turner? If you tell me you're putting Turner up and for me not to vote him out, I won't. So what's the difference in you trusting me then and trusting me now? And he says, you had a good point, he said, but it's like dangling a big old juicy steak in front of a hungry man. You know, there's just too much temptation there. I know how you feel about Turner, so I think it would just be too much temptation for you to overcome. So that is about it. I'm still 2 hours behind. It's 7 o'clock at night. And that's the most notes I've taken in one day. So I'm going to go ahead and put this video out. And then I may or may not put out another one tonight if all this continues. If not, it'll be tomorrow afternoon sometime. So that gets you guys caught up. Let me know what you think in the comments about this crazy ass day that we've just had. It's been non-stop. Till next time, as always, much love.